and then start webinar. Oh, share screen, right?
Yep.
You can't get on the net or what? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
the computer isn't connecting to it.
Do you have it now?
Mine didn't. His magically somewhat did, so we're going with it.
Okay, so
How's that?
so we're screen sharing this thing right now,
Okay.
and then can they hear us? Yes, this thing is unmuted, so they can hear us. This video is
Rich,
off.
text me if you can hear us. Because I don't know if our audio is working on our end, but tell me if you can hear us.
I can hear you guys.
Let's test our audio.
Perhaps not because I'm talking.
Do I hear a ringtone? That's because I muted myself. Right? Hello?
I still hear you.
Oh, it's kind of, I think it's because where the video audio output is.
No, Rich can hear us.
Rich can hear
Okay.
us.
We can't hear you, Rich, for the record. Yeah, no, Rich, we
For the
cannot hear a single word that you're saying. Keep going.
Okay.
Bigger speakers, the output isn't right.
Oh, okay. Speaker. I guess let's just make sure that we can hear people. So let's do.
All right. While you figure that out, I'll just do a quick
All right.
introduction.
Just start the webinar.
It needs to be recorded just to make sure.
Okay. Is it recording?
Yes.
Recording. Is it recording on this computer? Okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So
You have enough memory, right?
yes, full screen.
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
Okay. It's loading. Right. There we go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Pat Pablo, and I am one of the traffic engineers that had the pleasure of working on at a Route 229 corridor study from I-84 in Southington all the way to Farmington Avenue, or also known as US Route 6. I would like to take a moment and allow city representatives to come
Change,
to the
you have to
front
change your
and
screen
introduce
share
themselves.
to a different slide.
Okay. Oops. So sorry, screen share wasn't working. Okay, so
That's fine. I can do without comments.
so just share my plain old screen.
Yes.
Okay.
That works, as long as it's the same. Okay, they're probably seeing this instead of that.
Oh, screen 2. That's why, huh?
Yeah,
Yep.
so just do one and the same, and I'll fly without my comments.
So we'll just leave it as is.
No,
Okay.
no. You want to duplicate the screen that you have, screen 2.
Duplicate slide view.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, why is it empty?
It's getting there.
Okay,
Loading.
Yep, we're good.
there we go. We're good. We'll make it run.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Thank you. You have the other one, right?
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you for introduction. Thank you for waiting. We had some technical difficulties, but please note that we are doing this a hybrid version where we have you in person as well as people online. So everyone gets to listen and view exactly the same presentation at the same time. So my apologies. First, we had some internet signal issues, and now we're up and running. So for those that are online, please note that you have on the left-hand side a mute and a video button to turn it all on and off your camera, as well as a chat box where you can communicate with the presenters and ask a question, which will be answered after the presentation. During the presentation, we actually do mute you so we can have continuous presentation, but for those of you who are in person, please do stop me at any point and I'll answer your questions. It's easier to do that with individuals here versus online. And I have Vincent here to assist me if there are any questions necessary to answer right away online, as well as Rich Donovan, who's the project manager from NVCOG, who couldn't be present with us, and he's also answering questions online. And we have Kevin, and Kevin is from NVCOG and will assist us as well. So To get this project going, the main purpose of this meeting is to discuss the proposed improvements and look for additional recommendations from you, the public. We are in our final stages of this project design, but we'll always welcome any comments and any edits that we can do to make this better. So let me introduce you. The project was kicked off in the fall of 2020, and over the last year and a half, we have looked at or evaluated the safety, congestion, and multimodal amenities on the corridor itself. We assessed the potential traffic demand growth in the corridor, as well as looked at potential spot improvements to provide countermeasures for those safety and traffic flow issues. So the project itself has been divided into 3 segments, and the same way as the presentation. The northern segment stretches from, actually I should have a button, let's see. Nope, I don't have it. All right, so if you can see my mouse, the project stretches from Farmington, the northern segment stretches from Farmington Avenue to Broad Street. The central segment stretches between Broad Street and ESPN Drive, or also the town line. And the southern segment is from the Southington town line all the way to I-84 ramps. So looking at the northern segment, in the northern segment itself, we looked at some safety concerns. And one of the locations that we identified is we're proposing a school zone. So to your right, you'll see an outline of enrollment boundary. And what we're proposing is that within a half a mile of the school zone, to define a school zone. And that means lowering the posted speed limit from currently 35 to 30, and during school hours to 25 miles per hour. Overall, we have done renderings for 13 locations. For this presentation, just to make it shorter, I've selected few locations, but we have renderings, printouts of all of them, and I can always pull those out. But this is just one of the locations that we found to be important. Whoop. All right. How come I can't hide this? Nope, it's not going away. All right, I just don't know why the title is not. There we go. All right, sorry again. So this intersection is with Bristol Eastern High School and Page Park. We felt that this location is important as it serves the community and most vulnerable users. So due to high crash rates, such as rear ends, angle side swipes, we proposing to widen the roadway within the existing curb cut to provide exclusive left turn lanes. We also are proposing sidewalk on the west side that extends into a Page Park. So this is the sidewalk, the yellow line. The sidewalk will cross a culvert, which could be a nice structural feature in the park itself. And on the other side of the roadway, we're proposing a multi-trail on the east side. And this will connect to the existing and proposed sidewalk along the way. Another segment or another location that we looked at in the northern segment is this particular area where it has a very limited right-of-way for the multi-use path. So a few considerations were made in our design process. One of them was to provide a physical barrier between the car and vulnerable users, narrowing the path from 10 foot wide to 7 feet wide, and providing some sort of barrier, like I mentioned. This could be either a jersey barrier or bollards with chain or some sort of physical delineation between vehicles and the roadway and the multipath. In this area, we also are proposing utilizing rectangular rapid flash beacons, which are pedestrian actuated and used to improve safety at uncontrolled marked crosswalks. So the device includes 2 rectangular shaped yellow indicators, each with an LED array baseline source that flashes with high frequency when activated. The roadway design for the vehicles includes left turn pockets to accommodate the side roads, unsignalized side roads. Yes.
I see you have one ADA curb ramp, but will they all be?
Yes.
Thank you, because we've had a constituent.
Yes, and this is actually funny that you mentioned, this is the particular reason why we selected this slide is this is the only stretch on the northern segment that you don't have a sidewalk right there. Everywhere else you have a sidewalk in some shape or fashion on one side of the road, but not.
Can you just repeat the question for those who are online?
Sure, can you repeat the question loudly?
Yes, will the curb cuts have ADA accessible ramps?
So the question was, will the sidewalks have curb cuts for ADA, will they be ADA accessible? And yes, they will be. That's going to be actually one of the slides. We did a summation or summary of all ramps that are ADA compliant and non-compliant and how many of them we need to replace throughout the corridor. So thank you. So besides looking at concepts renderings, we also looked at gateway signs and wayfinding signs, which are a great way to improve the communities. In the corridor itself, we're proposing 4 locations as to not to overload the driver with information. So these are the 4 locations that we're proposing. We suggest to keep the information to minimum and at key locations. The sign proposed will be visible by all modes, drivers, pedestrians, as well as cyclists. And the information can be branded by the community for a corridor itself or leave it unique. And samples of some of the wayfinding signs or gateway signs are such as ESPN, industrial park. So, you know, we can design anything and anything for this project or this location. Next, we looked at the central segment. Again, central segment stretches between Broad Street and ESPN Drive or Town Line. It's also known as the Middle Street. So first we looked at the hardest area for us. It's colloquially known as Trident area. It includes Middle Street, Pine Street, and Route 72 extension. So this is your Middle Street segment. This is your Pine Street segment, and this is your Route 72 extension. So let's start with few challenging design options. This is the only location where a multi-trail is on the west side or left side of the roadway. So the green line, the green band here. And this is simply to a special constraint. We have businesses across from CVS that have a straight on parking, and this parking has to be maintained. We also have a Pequabuck River and Bristol Brass Dam. So here's your river and the dam on the west side, and rail viaduct to the north. So here's your rail viaduct. And of course, we have heavy traffic and invisible, as we would call it, invisible curb cuts or transit stops along Pine Street and Mountain Road. So the design was simply to avoid these constraints through utilizing the state and town land and provide pullouts or at least full stops at proposed new locations. So we've proposed a new bus route, which will come in a few slides later, having a proper bus pullouts with amenities. The proposed multi-use trail will utilize the vacant lot to the southwest corner of the Riverside Avenue intersection to connect to the south side of Bristol Dam Brass Dam and Pequabuck River, which will serve as a picturesque node. So again, this stretch right here. And it extends out to the Lake Avenue. And please note, On the north side, there is no sidewalk here. This is the only stretch where we're not proposing a sidewalk, as we're limited by grade and the minimal impact to pedestrians. There's no residential area served here up until the 4th Street. Next is, again, continuation of that design is the intersection with Lake Avenue, which also provides access to park and ride lot in Casey Field. To better accommodate the existing bus route, we're providing amenities for more pleasant wait. The multi-trail has a wider footprint than the sidewalk. And the sidewalk on the west side will extend throughout the corridor. So again, this is the continuation of the multi-trail. This is the only segment that is on the other side of the road. And then it picks up again on the east side and continues through. The key to the southern segment, again, southern segment is from ESPN Drive to I-84 ramps, is that the improvement is was to widen the southbound movement to 2 through lanes. And that starts just south of I-84, ESPN Drive all the way to I-84, or more specifically to Executive Boulevard North. Additional turn lanes might be provided at locations where it's warranted due to proposed increased volumes or high growth and proposed developments. And of course, as I mentioned, we're continuing that multi-use trail on the east side and sidewalk on the west side. That's you.
There will be a sidewalk.
Yep, sidewalk is always, yeah, so here's your north. So yeah, west side, east side, yes, sorry. So next let's talk about overall multimodal accommodations, starting off with transit. So based on the existing conditions, currently there are a few bus routes that bisect our corridor, but there are none that are traveling in the corridor itself. So the bus routes include CT Fast Track 102 that travels on 72, Express Bus Route 502, which pretty much travels the same way as 102 with fewer stops, and the local bus route 541, which travels on Farmington Avenue. When proposing a new transit route, transit index needs should be created or reviewed. So for this particular study, we utilized 2018 comprehensive transit study done for CROG. And that particular study provided us with information, the transit index need, which is based on social economic information, existing public transit availability, the ridership stats by stop, access to the stops, walking distance, locations, and so forth. So when you look at this particular graphic, what we're trying to get at, or what the transit index provides you with, is the fact that the northern segment has high to medium transit need. And again, this is our corridor right here, right? I-84, Farmington Avenue. So the northern segment has high to medium transit need. Central segment has high, and the southern piece of it has no information. But what's interesting, and the southern segment itself has no information, but what it's interesting, the Southington piece, or Town of Southington itself, the downtown area, has a high transit need. So we've discussed and determined that there's a need for bus route along 229. So similar to 2018 comprehensive study, we've developed a bus route. We proposed the bus route to utilize the Route 72 extension and Riverside Avenue. So this is the piece that we're proposing. It will utilize similar or existing bus circulation through downtown because of the grade and roadway geometry that we've talked with City Transit. They would like us to maintain that pattern. However, what we have different is in the southbound direction, the bus route will travel on Route 229. However, in the northbound direction, to facilitate local apartments, businesses. We've decided to have the bus path travel on Emmett Street. So this is phase one of proposed bus route. If it's successful, we can develop or extend it out to phase two. So this is the phase two piece of it. And basically it terminates or turns around at the commercial development by I-84 ramps. And phase three itself, which is way outside of our corridor limits, it actually would extend out even further into downtown Southington, turn around and travel again, either on 229 or Emmett Street. So at all major bus stops with high on and offs boardings, we would like to propose shelters with amenities at a simple or low volume stops. At minimum, semi seats, and these are images of semi seats. What they're great at is the fact that you can install them at an existing signposts poles. So there's hardly any cost associated with them and with minimum foundation needed. So they can be just placed anywhere. Now through the presentation, we've talked about the pedestrian bike accommodations with continuous sidewalk and the multi-trail. But what we did not talk about enough about is both sidewalks and multi-trail must adhere to ADA and Pro-On compliance. So that means we need to ensure that all intersections would provide handicap ramps, pedestrian push buttons at all crossings, signalized intersections, and proper crosswalks where necessary. And these are just images from the corridor where we're lacking these, or they're not up to standard. So this is just a quick map of proposed multi-use trail, sidewalk where it's lacking, as well as the proposed handicap ramps. It's just quick dots and lines to show an overview where we would fill those in. Same thing. This map provides proposed locations of crosswalks at all intersections, signalized and unsignalized, and the locations where we need to add on pedestrian push buttons at signalized intersections. So here's like a quick summary or quick statistic table where overall we will need to provide 37 crosswalks that need to be striped, 75 ramps that needs to be installed, and 49 crosswalk push buttons at already existing signalized intersections. So from traffic operational perspective, we always take a look at minimum 3 condition: existing, no build, and build. For this particular corridor, we actually looked at 4 conditions. So existing conditions, it's what the roadway performs at now. No build conditions, we're looking ahead. In this instance, we're looking 20 years ahead. And what would the road conditions look like without any type of improvements? Just generic growth in the corridor 20 years from now. Build conditions represent where you add on some proposed development. Let's say there's additional housing build or additional store being built or another Amazon warehouse or something along those lines. We need to account for that traffic in the corridor. So that's build condition. Again, no improvements to the roadway. And then the last piece would be, okay, you're adding on all this development. What happens to your roadway? You know, is it congested? Are there any type of improvements that are needed? And that's what build with improved conditions means. Either geometry improvements, signal timings improvements, of all of the above, or widening the roadway, whatever needs to be done. And the improvements that we're considering or we have analyzed using synchro analysis were exactly the same as the renderings. So wherever we proposed a left turn lane bay, we included that in. Nothing more but what we've rendered or we've suggested. And going back to the software that we've used, they utilize a quick grading system, which we're all familiar with. A means good, F means congested. So, like I mentioned, we looked at 3 time frames, AM peak, midday peak, and PM peak. During AM, we can notice that currently there's one intersection that performs poorly, or it's congested, and that's at the Trident area. So we all agree with that. If we continue 20 years down from now with just growth, that has not changed or does not improve. With proposed roadway, with proposed developments along the corridor, again, the condition does not improve. And then with build improve, we made some adjustments. We added on a southbound left turn lane. We moved the crosswalks to be farther away from the center. That shortens the pedestrian time frame, but lengthens the vehicular time frame. The state of Connecticut is moving from exclusive pedestrian phase to concurrent pedestrian phase. So we've changed those. And overall, we optimize the signal timings throughout the entire corridor as one. And across all of these, you see improvement along the corridor with build improved. Yes.
You use 2 words to describe pedestrian.
Yes.
What are those?
So currently, when you push a pedestrian push button, the entire intersection turns red for vehicles, and the pedestrian can cross whichever way it wants, right?
Okay.
Now, imagine, have you been to New York City?
I try to avoid it, but okay.
So what happens in New York City and what, or actually in New Haven even, what they do is when you push the pedestrian push button, you have it by direction. Either you're crossing left or right.
Okay.
Either you're crossing in front or to your left. So you make a selection and it turns off that one particular way. So vehicles that are taking a right have to be mindful that they don't hit a pedestrian. So basically what it means, pedestrian can only stop one side of the road, not all directions. That's all. Go ahead.
Can you read the question you just answered to those online?
Sure. The question was, what does it mean concurrent versus exclusive pedestrian phase? Thank you.
If I may, just-
Yes.
You really notice it on Pine Street in the middle. What happens, so when you have exclusive, when you're at an intersection, and you're waiting at a red light, you notice no cars are moving. That's exclusive.
Yeah.
Now, they be all this indicated, they just pass along, but that doesn't mean in all fairness, the DOT is gonna come in.
No.
instantaneously.
No,
You know,
it's going to take them time. It usually takes time.
Can I ask a question on this
Sure.
slide?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm not so sure I really agree with, if you're looking at West Street, with all the greens on West Street. That would be your southern segment.
Yeah, yep.
If I put you in my truck and we go to West Street at 3 p.m.
Yep.
I don't think it would be green.
So you're looking at all directions. So which direction do you experience the congestion or you experience the
In the
delay?
afternoon, it would be going south.
South, yeah. But you're looking at overall. So if the side movements as well as the northbound can get through without any issues and you're slowed down,
Northbound's exceptionally heavy also.
yeah,
Because if you're coming on West Street from a side street and the side street does not have a traffic signal, forget it. You're not gonna be able to turn left. And God help you, maybe you might be able to turn right. Between the hours, I'd say of 2:30 p.m. until 6 p.m. It's like that.
yeah, it gets really congested.
That's goodness in a way, because most of that traffic is probably due to commuters and businesses, and which help turn the economic engine of the city, which is good, but I would like, I think there'd be a lot more yellow there at certain times.
So
I mean, especially on the weekend. We try it on a Saturday. Anytime.
We're looking at weekday AM, weekday PM, and weekday midday. So maybe that's part of it. We have not looked at the Saturday midday, which might be the highest peak. Usually, actually, let's just skip it to the last one. This is what you think you're experiencing. This is your afternoon coming home. So you definitely do not see a lot of greens. You see some reds, and that's what everyone experiences. Again, level of service E and F, it means basically you're experiencing about a minute delay or more. So you're sitting out of traffic at least one cycle. And that's what I think you're referring to. Yes, go ahead.
Could we summarize the conversation that just happened for those who are online?
Sure. So for those of you that are online, the conversation is with regards to the southern segment, West Street in Southington, and the type of congestion you experience. And a gentleman from the audience mentioned that he believes that you should be experiencing more congestion. And we're bringing it up with the afternoon summary or traffic operations where it shows the type of congestion that you've been describing. So yes, we totally agree. And it's going to get worse, especially in the southbound movement. It's going to get worse with proposed developments along the way. We know that there's a big residential development coming in. With all of that and there's a lot of open land in Southington. You may have more congestion. So again, signal optimization will help. Providing turn bays may help. Just making that movement smoother will help. But again, you're dealing with, especially in the southern segment, northbound, you have 2 through movements. Southbound, you do not. So having that would assist quite a bit.
In the proposal, can they widen?
So the question is, can we widen the southbound lane? And that's what we're proposing. The question becomes the right-of-way. Is there enough right-of-way for that? And what would be the cost to do that? Because not only are you widening the road, but you're also relocating utilities and probably signal mast and retiming everything. So yeah, it's a cost benefit, which we've provided in the report as well. So those are the slides that I had presented or summary of renderings that we have. We are starting today, we'll be in the 30-day comment period. So that means your comments from today's meeting and anything that you tell us today, we'll have to incorporate into our design concept or at least answer. We do encourage you to provide us with your comments and concerns. We'll incorporate them and finalize our findings so we can present it to the town and Connecticut DOT once more. So thank you. Any comments, questions, or any concerns? Yes.
You talked about the phases.
Yes.
And you said the last phase
For-
was the West Street phase. Was that for the bus route, or you're going to still build out West Street?
No, so that was just the bus route. So the question was the 3 phases that we've discussed, and it was just the bus route, the new bus route that we're proposing along 229. Let me pull that out.
I was really concerned about the people that and the bike trail in Southington, and if we're not building that section out, how do they connect? Okay. But I
Yeah.
have a question on the bus route too.
Go ahead. So this is the bus route. This is the phase 1 piece. That's our stretch of the corridor. So the first phase stops short. Yeah, go ahead.
What that's small to see,
Mhm.
but one of the things that was important is in that little lower gap, the lower portion down
Yep.
right there is the adult ed center is in there, and so making sure the bus route accommodates the adult education. And I'm not quite sure. I think it's not on that road because that's on Emmett. It is on Emmett. So.
Right. And we're proposing to travel on Emmett on the way back. So
Okay, so that doesn't look like Emmett.
Yeah, but you have to go to the adult center in both directions.
Right.
Otherwise, how do people get there?
go ahead.
So
an issue I used to have to deal with is I used to live on Shawn Drive, and the bus only came in one direction. So it would basically come once every like 2 hours, even though the bus actually went around the city every hour.
So the concern is that the bus route should travel the same path as it comes in and comes back, right? Northbound and southbound should be on the corridor, but you would prefer it to be on Emmett versus 229.
Okay, you gotta get the industrial part because Amazon's there and the new hotel, conference center.
So, right, so you have one residential amenities that you want to take care of, or residential origin and destinations on Emmett, and then you have on 229, right? And it's that one segment, right? Because
Well,
the
you got it looping up top.
Mhm.
Why can't it loop down below? I don't know, I don't drive a bus for a living. So,
so it is looping all the way by 84 ramps in that commercial district.
but not in the hot spots in Bristol where I think a lot of us are feeling there might be a heavy need.
So you would rather have it looping somewhere here, which is right about where the Enterprise Drive is, right? In addition.
You've got to hit the the adults in both directions. People can't get there if it only goes in one direction.
Does it go to the senior center in Bristol?
That's,
Yeah.
they have their own bus.
They could get there, but they'd have to wait till it went all the way down and looped around and came
Yeah,
back up
that's,
again.
nobody's gonna do that.
No.
Now, are you also proposing that the bike only travel on those multi?
Yes, at least on 229 stretch, yes.
And how are you gonna enforce that?
That's a good question. There is no real way of enforcing it aside from signing and making it safer for them to travel on
No,
the
obviously,
multi-trail
but you're gonna
versus,
make it wide enough so people can walk
yes, 10 foot wide,
and ride.
yes.
What is a multi-trail? Look like? What is it?
So we do have, actually, let me stop presentation. We took out that slide, but I think since there's a question. So a multipath, it basically is a paved wide roadway where it has 10 foot wide. And there's a separation of about 5 feet from the road, and then you have vehicular traffic. So multipath, it's about 10 foot wide. It provides it's a paved roadway. Yes.
One more question about the bus. Do you have a proposal for how often you'd like it to run?
No, we do not have that detail. That's something that we would have to work out. So the question was, do we have the frequency as well as the finalized bus route for the proposed bus route? And we do not have that detail.
Do you have in the plan what you plan to do at the corner of Woodland Street and
Yes,
King Street?
Yes.
yes.
One of the worst intersections.
It's in the binder, actually.
No, it's doing the.
No, nope.
It's loading.
The sidewalk,
Mm-mm.
So that's
the
not loading, circle.
sidewalk, there's no sidewalk on the side of Page Park. In that area, all the way down. to-
There it is, we see it now.
Yeah, but you see something else on my screen, which is the notes.
So we gotta duplicate it, huh?
Yeah,
So duplicate.
this is what duplication is, right? Hold on a sec.
Duplicate. Presenter view.
Is there gonna be a light there or?
Let's see. It's thinking.
There we go.
All right.
Yes.
So just so we're all on the same page.
I have to leave for another meeting, so can I get my questions to Ray and have?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can email us too directly as well, through NVCOG website. So the question is if you can contact us directly or through Ray. Yes, you can contact us directly through NVCOG website, nvcog.org, the project website, or Ray can provide our contact information as well. Yeah.
She's also a Board of Public Works member.
So yes, you can definitely contact us.
Okay, because just about all that is in my district too, so.
Most definitely. We'll have time.
So the constituents tell me their needs, but yeah, I have to run for another meeting.
Sure.
Sorry.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
For those of you who are still interested in the design of Woodland Street, just so we're on the same page, this is just an aerial image of Route 229, which is also known as King Street in this area. Woodland Street has a connection to the north that it's signalized and to the south that it's not. Again, Woodland Street stretches and has like this Y intersection. So that's how it looks presently. What we're proposing is to redesign it just a tiny bit. So instead of having that Y intersection, the signalized intersection that slopes in, we're turning it into a T intersection, so it's much safer. We're providing left and right turn lane separately. We're also closing off that unsignalized location. And up here to the farther away from 229, we're providing, again, sidewalk, pedestrian safety is our priority. There's going to be a sidewalk on the west-hand side, cycle track or multi-trail on the east side. As we said, it's going to be continuous there. And then, like I said, crosswalk for pedestrian here, stop bar here. And the big design change also is that Karen Road will be dead end. So it doesn't connect into Woodland and then connects to 229. If anyone that lives on Karen Road, it would be a dead end street. So you would have to travel this way, connect to Woodland and do this, if anything.
How long do you think that construction would last?
Meaning, how long would the construction last to build it out, or
Just the
cost, or what are we talking here? Time frame to build it? You can build it in one season if you have a proper crew, everything is properly designed. Something like this can happen in one construction season.
Well, no, because that's probably a main route for first responders. There are not a lot of roads going east-west in that direction.
Right. So it's a very good thing that you've mentioned first responders. What I forgot to mention, although we closed off Karen Road for residents to access directly to 29, there is still paved area, and we're providing emergency access for emergency vehicles. So you can put like those temporary bollards if they need to access, or a gate or something along those lines. So emergency vehicles could access it directly from 229 if need be. But for others, it would be.
I mean, that's a direct access from the east and northeast section of Bristol to the hospital.
Right.
And if you don't leave it open, you know, they have to go roundabout.
Right. I mean, the closest one would be Riverside Ave, yeah. Mhm.
They'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Anything online?
Now, is this a, you
Yes,
said this is a proposal. The proposal goes to whom?
Kevin, do you want me to answer this, or do you want to take?
Can you repeat the question? Yeah, if this is a proposal, and it's completed, goes to what entity?
So the question is, this is a proposal, this is the planning study, where does it go next? So the proposal or the planning study has been done for NVCOG, which is your regional agency. And what they do with the planning study, then they start looking for local or state and federal funding to actually implement those studies. So they either take everything, or let's say they'll take the transit piece and they'll go with it and they'll find appropriate funding for transit and then implement it in cooperation with Connecticut DOT and the local agencies, the city of Bristol and town of Southington. Another piece, again, sidewalks, they could get a particular funding for that and they will just go and rebuild sidewalks or multi-use trail. So the planning purpose is this is a corridor in need. It does experience congestion. There's some safety issues or safety concerns. So what can we do to make it improved? Once you have a study and you have identified problem areas, then you can start applying for funds, federal funds and state funds to have it built and design and build, sorry. Next question. It appears that Churchill Street in Southington is planned for relocation to intersection with Pedestrian Street intersection. Is that the current proposal? So we have a question online as far as the Southington segment, and we do have some slides on that. I wonder if I should present or not that.
Share screen again,
No, I have it.
but they can't see it. The online people can't see it because you stopped sharing.
Oh, yes. Can you?
Okay.
So, someone, don't forget this person too, who asked 2 questions.
Okay.
Okay, so we will answer the question from JB about Churchill Street in Southington. So let's share screen. Share screen. Share. You want to do presenter mode?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, and I will duplicate. We gotta do this all the time.
Yeah,
All right.
it's okay.
Which slide was it?
Go up, go up. Go up. I wonder, no, let's go down then.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. They're not in order, that's why. Because those are the extras. Okay. Keep going.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Churchill, yep. That's the one.
And they can hear you. Okay, so question, nope. Chat, where's the chat? I can't see the chat.
QA.
No, this is only question and answer, but it's not the actual chat function.
Yeah, I don't think you can. That's the problem when you're doing a screen like that. That's why it's a second person on the second laptop.
Oh, I see.
Are you able to hear me?
So there was a question online asking with regards to the southern segment, more specifically the intersection of Curtis Street, which is this, as well as Churchill Street. Now, for those of you that don't know, Churchill Street has a large development proposed, a residential development proposed off of Churchill Street. And some of the questions or concerns that people have is taking a left out of Churchill Street into 229. So we looked at it from the traffic operational perspective, and currently, and even in the future, there's not enough traffic to warrant a signal for that particular intersection. However, what you can do is you can tie it into an existing signalized intersection. So in cooperation with the town, we looked at some concepts, and this was one of the proposed concepts. Oh, page down. There we go. We're proposing to realign Churchill Street to tie in and create a four-legged intersection. Again, we're still maintaining multi-use trail on the right-hand side, sidewalks on the left. By tying in this way, again, it's an existing signal, so we're just providing means for safe travels or safe access from Churchill Street. Another intersection that we were also asked to look at redesign, and actually this is the final concept. We had two concepts for this one. It's West Pine Drive and Spring Street. What's unique about this one is the West Pine Drive actually is the unsignalized segment, and Spring Street currently is signalized. So what we're doing is essentially because of, we're realigning Spring Street instead of West Pine Drive. And also what's unique about this intersection, the intermediate design is to block or prevent people from blocking the intersection, because that's the biggest concern or the biggest problem that residents are incurring right now is coming out of West Pine Drive. There is some queuing happening at Spring Street intersections or people queuing up at the signal, and therefore the intermediate solution was to hash out or block out that location. Do not block that segment of roadway. But ultimately, one of the design is to relocate one of the segments to make it into a four-legged intersection. Yes, Vincent?
I don't know.
Oh, we have some questions in here.
Yep. Has the total cost of the project been calculated and estimated? Yes, actually, we have some rough costs and they're presented in the final report. We've done estimates for individual signal designs, realignments. We've done some linear footage on how much does it cost to do a sidewalk or the multipath. You know, those estimates don't always include, they do not include if there's any acquisitions needed for right-of-way, that would be additional cost, but the linear and square footage costs for those improvements have been estimated and been provided by segment and type in the report. And we also have prioritized them into moderate, easy, or complex design, and therefore it may take like relocation or redesign of a signal like this or approaches would take probably 2 seasons, construction seasons, or at least substantial amount of time to design and build, versus providing a sidewalk or making changes to ramps and having them handicap ADA compliant. Those are easy and could be done within 1 season. Anything else? First question, is it safe for user of multi-use trail to cross the intersections near Mountain Road and Middle Street? The intersection is unsafe for cars. How will others users be safe for crossing here? That's a good question. So let's go back to the design concept itself.
How we need to close down that one.
Let me get to the slide first.
Okay.
Right? I hope. What do you think? So, Mountain Road and Middle Street. Okay, so close this, right?
Well, yeah, because so that they can see the slide. Because right now they can see the. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, but can we present again?
Yep. Okay. Every time.
Every time, that's okay. It's a good thing I didn't put anything crazy in my notes. All right, so the question is with regards to crossing the roadway. So let's go back to the concept itself. The concern is with Mountain Road and Middle Street, as well as Riverside Avenue. So our bike path or multi-use path, it's actually on Riverside Avenue, not Mountain Road. And we're utilizing this nice area by the river. And then this particular segment, because of the high volumes, the high crash rates, we're actually continuing it all the way to Lake Avenue. So we're not crossing here, although we're providing safe crosswalks. We're not crossing, we're just providing, we're directing the cyclist to continue on this cycle track or multi-use trail on the left-hand side. We do know that we do pick up the trail to the north of Rail or to the north of Route 72 on the right-hand side. And again, we're just providing our crosswalk with pedestrian push buttons. We cannot provide any other means of crossing, but that. Yes, question. Mhm.
How do they actually, on the multi-use trail, how do they actually cross that intersection? To get to the other.
I don't think there's a button there right now. I walked there last fall, but I don't think there was even.
You do not have push buttons. So the question is, how do you cross the street? How do you cross the 229? And you do not have push buttons at every corner. So that's one. Two, when you're crossing a road like that, you get off your bike. You do not stay on the bike. You get off your bike. So you do sign it and you do put bollards and you put warnings that you should be getting off your bike to cross the roadway. So that's one.
I'm just thinking, if I could just run.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick. I mean, so if you want to, if you're coming down this way,
Yep.
that's great. And if you want to cross.
So
here,
that's your pinch
wonderful.
point as well,
How do you go
because
from
you do
here to
not
here?
have enough. That's the rail viaduct, so you can widen that really. So that's your pinch point as well.
So we can't really widen it.
No. I mean, up here you can, but literally right here you cannot.
Oh, because of the rail.
Because of the rail. The rail abutments are your pinch point.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you show on the screen which section we were just talking about?
Sure. If I can get my laser to work. How did I get it to work last time?
Yeah, I think it's down there.
Laser. So we were talking about a pinch point, which is right here. Again, this is the rail viaduct and the abutments are your pinch point right there. For crossing from the bike path, you can either turn back and cross this way, or you can continue this way, continue, or cross anywhere here using crosswalks.
Yeah, but every one of those corners has a green arrow or a right turn on red. And cars don't stop and you go right turn on red. So it's gonna be very difficult for bikes crossing those intersections without some kind of light to stop the traffic.
What's going to be the length of the timing for the walk signal right at that nightmare intersection?
So you actually when you retime, the question is what's the timing on the pedestrian crosswalks? Every time you do any type of design or you look into signal timings itself, you actually measure the width of the roadway that you're crossing and you're taking into consideration the average pedestrian speed, then, reaction time, all of that. So
Just an average or so.
So the average speed of a pedestrian is anywhere between 3 to 5 feet per second. So taking that into consideration and then the width of the roadway, you can estimate. And then you add on additional 2 seconds for reaction perception time. That's how you make the timing. Any other questions?
So you'd be adding one, right? Right now, there's not, there isn't on what I recall, like I said last fall. So you'll be adding. Okay.
Yep.
Did we address someone's question about how right turn on red is allowed, but cars don't necessarily stop on that red before they make the right turn? are there ways to kind of like accommodate, people who want to cross, but then there's cars who make that right turn on red?
If there's a way to accommodate vehicles pedestrians that are crossing the road versus vehicles taking a right and making sure that they account for pedestrians.
There is a method to do that with a lot of intersections.
Come here, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, where's the microphone? So a way to address this is with vehicles with a high right turn on red, you can give the pedestrians what we call a jump. So the pedestrian walk signal starts before that same crossing. So sequence time. So if we're looking at the north-south movement along Route 229, and we have this crossing here, the pedestrians are allowed to cross 3 seconds before the signal turns. So then vehicles that are turning, they'll see the pedestrian in the crosswalk already. So it'll prevent conflicts.
Unless they've had 3 years of legends.
All right. Any other questions or any other online questions that we've missed? Let's see if there are any other questions.
Let's scroll up and see. Oh, that's no.
Answered.
No, answered. Yeah.
I think we're good. All right.
Yeah, nothing here too.
Excellent. All right. Well, I will stop the recording at this point. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for participating. And we'll be here for another hour to answer any other questions you may have. But I want to let the people online enjoy their evening. Thank you. Can you stop and save?